Everyone, we need to tactically talk about that right side. Obviously, the left side was a bit of an issue against Aston Villa, but right side is the predominant issue without Reece James. Look, not much really to talk about from a news point of view, so let's do a tactical show for this one.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, not really much going on in terms of the news. Nothing that we haven't covered already, to be honest. There's talks about N'Golo Kante possibly leaving on a free. We've covered that, so don't really want to retouch it all the time. There's talks about Thiago Silva possibly not being fit for the Brentford game. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have used him. He's playing a lot of games. We need to look after Thiago Silva. These midweek games are difficult. He's 38. We've got to make sure that he recovers well enough for the Man United game during the weekend. There's a slight bit of conversation happening in regards to Leandro Trossard, which we've covered as well. I would love to see Trossard at Chelsea Football Club. So it's timely. It's timely we talk about tactically in regards to that right side without Reece James. It's very important to assess in our minds, in the fan base, what can we expect? What can we do? What are the solutions out there so that when the matches start and the lineups drop, now we are somewhat expecting that, or we're not caught unaware. Do you know what I mean? So look, I've got the tactical board out, ladies and gentlemen. First up, I think where we need to start is without Reece James, we need to ask the question, can we actually play a back four? Without Reece James, can we actually play a back four? In my opinion, no, because who's the natural right back without Reece James? Azpilicueta comes first in everyone's mind. Azpilicueta is not cut out to be a fullback any longer, man. He was panting and out of breath 15 minutes in the second half when he came on against Aston Villa. He doesn't have the legs. He's probably capable of playing the odd game here and there, but to play him on a regular basis as a fullback for Chelsea Football Club now in 2023, 2022, well, I'm ahead of the game. I mean, 2023 is just around the corner. It's too much to ask for. It's way too much to ask for. So, in my opinion, without Reece James, there's no adequate fullback left. Certainly would have been trying Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a right back, although I believe in one of the close matches not that long ago, I think it might have been Brighton, where we used Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a right back. But let's be honest, not in these competitive Premier League matches. We're not going to do that. So having said that, I would have to go with a 3 at the back situation. Now, whether it's 3-4-3, 3-5-1, let's have a look at this one. Potentially, it's the same thing anyway, to be honest. I mean, these two wing backs are really wingers. We could potentially have a pivot. I think the way this mostly works out is something like this, to be honest. So let's just change it into a 3-4-3. It could be potentially like this. Now, this is probably something is more viable, more sustainable without Reece James. So for me, back 3 is very important when Reece James is not around. Now, let's talk about who could we potentially use in this wing back position. First name that comes in your mind is Azpilicueta. Let's try it. Let's try analyzing the situation with Azpilicueta. So here's the first name that comes into mind. And if that's the case, you're potentially looking at, I don't know, let's say Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the middle, Jorginho Kovacic, and a whole heap of, because Kante obviously is not around, so you can obviously have Kova over here. You can have Kova on this side as well. So any sort of combination at the moment in this sort of permutation. So you can have Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you can have Azpilicueta on the wide side, and then in the back 3, pick your selections. Do you know what I mean? Chalobah, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Cucurella, so on and so forth. Now, with this selection, yes, this particular player, whether that's Chalobah or Koulibaly, it's potentially going to be Chalobah. So let's just write that down. When Aspi plays on that side, you probably think it's going to be Chalobah there. You need cover there. You need a bit of a shift in such manner so that you can give Azpilicueta a bit of a cover. Because Aspi, let's be honest, it's going to be too difficult for him to go up and down non-stop as a wing back. He's probably going to focus on the attacking side of the things. Not to say that he's not going to be there defensively. He definitely will be there defensively, but predominantly it's going to be in the attack. So there's got to be some cover in the back. Now, with Azpilicueta, once again, can he last the entire 90 minutes? Maybe the one odd game per week, yes. But midweek game, weekend game, sometimes you're looking at 3 games in 7 days. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's possible to use Azpilicueta on that side. But with Aspi, what happens is you're not disrupting the midfield. You're keeping the midfield as it is. You can use Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You can use Kovacic. You can use Jorginho. You can even perhaps bring in Chukwuemeka. And obviously, we've got Dennis Zakaria as well. But it's not sustainable. Aspi down there is not sustainable. Okay, so let's try Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Here's the other name that's floating around. If we go with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I feel like we can be somewhat sustainable. Not to say that we're not going to be in trouble. It's not going to be the same as Reece James, of course. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is not going to be able to defend as well as Reece James, but Ruben has the physicality. He's got the pace. Can perhaps be 1v1 from those areas, and he can sort of dart into these areas. Do you know what I mean? And he can definitely make moves into these areas as well. His crossing is obviously not going to be in the same par as Reece James, but nonetheless, I think this is far more sustainable as opposed to Azpilicueta. Now, if we move Ruben Loftus-Cheek here, let's just say, what happens to the midfield? As you can see, you can't have 2 Ruben Loftus-Cheek as much as we'd like to. Now, this is where it becomes a bit of an issue. You're going to have Jorginho, and you're going to have Kovacic, and in that case, you're going to run these guys down to the ground. They're going to be playing too many matches. This, once again, isn't sustainable. You don't want to make sure... definitely can't have 2 Jorginhos. You can't just keep having Kovacic and Jorginho play match in, match out 3 times a week. Before the World Cup, we've got a ton of games coming up. These 2 will be burnt out. And once they start getting burnt out, their performance drop massively, and we start looking drastic in midfield. But in the odd game, like, for example, the Brentford game that's coming up, we can potentially try this. Ruben Loftus-Cheek as a wing-back, Jorginho Kovacic in the middle, and we can try and gain control. But we can't just keep using these 2 players again against Man United. And again, the following week in the Champions League, as I said, they'll keep burning out. And similarly with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you can't keep using him all the time because he will need rest due to his injury history that he has. But this is potentially one of the outcome. Now, if you don't want to use Kovacic and Jorginho non-stop, we saw yesterday Mason Mount can drop into these areas, but I don't want him to. I think Mason Mount in the upper areas is far better, in the attacking positions. Similarly with Conor Gallagher as well. For me, why not try every now and then? Obviously, Virginia as a backup, and why not try Chukwuemeka every now and then? Because it's time now. We have to allow this brother to come into this frame in midfield. Now, some of you guys might say, he's not a pivot player. Well, was Ruben Loftus-Cheek a pivot player? Was XYZ a pivot player? The thing about Chukwuemeka is he's 18, man. We can't just be penciling him down right now and say, oh, he's not a pivot player. We can make him out to be anything we want him to be. He can definitely play in midfield, whether it's a 6, 8, 10. He can play any of those positions. As a youngster, he's done it. Have a look at his history with Aston Villa, with England. He's pretty much played all of those positions. So it's time we start using Chukwuemeka. I feel like he needs to help us out. With no Kante in midfield, it does make it a bit difficult. Now, the other option is maybe we can try Chalobah, but then what happens in the right CB position? You'd probably have to use Azpilicueta, and then I'm not really sure if Azpi's cut out to play week in, week out as an RCB. Now, yes, in previous seasons he's done that, but right now I don't know if Azpilicueta, when he comes across some top wingers, he's cut out to do that. Last but not least, the other name you can try is Zakaria, of course. Is the name you can try. But the thing about Zakaria is we've not seen Dennis Zakaria. We've not seen him play. For the timing, he probably has to come off the bench and gain that, minutes in his belt, get that exposure, keep building that momentum. We can't just be throwing him for a start. At least Chukwuemeka, he was there in the, some parts of the preseason. He was there. He's been there with the first team, since he's been signed, obviously, training and whatnot. He did come off the bench a couple of games ago. With Chukwuemeka, and he's the one that I want to give time to. He's our player. Zakaria is on loan. He's not our player. Zakaria is Juventus player. So I'd rather give one of our players an opportunity as opposed to Zakaria. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the conundrum. Some people are saying Conor Gallagher in that wing-back spot. Look, it's potentially a winger spot, isn't it? I mean, Conor Gallagher, he could potentially do that, but defensively, can he do that job? I don't know. And it might just alienate him a little bit. Conor Gallagher in this area has been doing a lot better, sort of in this sort of situation. He's been doing a lot better, just behind, the striker and the other attacking player. Similarly with Mason Mount. So I don't want to disrupt that. Who else do we have on that right side? It's just really Azpilicueta and Ruben Loftus-Cheek when Reece James is not around. So I would prefer Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and I would look at potentially giving, players like Kani Chukwuemeka an opportunity to rotate with Jorginho and Kovacic. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your thoughts are with this situation that's brewing at the moment. One thing is certain. Come January, we need to go to the transfer market and get some sort of a backup for Reece James, because it's clear as daylight. Without Reece James, one, we can't really play four at the back because there's no genuine fullbacks that can do the job at this level in the Premier League and Champions League week in, week out, where potentially you'll play 2 to 3 games a week. In a back three, yes, there are players that can play wing back, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Azpilicueta. Some have even thrown out maybe Cucurella on the right side. Conor Gallagher, as some people are saying as well, but none of them, once again, are adequate backups for Reece James. So, bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, come January, this is a position we need to sort out, or else every match, it's going to be very difficult to keep makeshift sort of situations work out for us. And it's not ideal when you need to keep winning. You need to stay with the hunting pack, not to win the league. I don't think we're anywhere near to do that, but at least to be in the top 4 and also in the Champions League, moving into the next phases, second round, quarterfinals, so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your thoughts are with this video, with the tactical sort of analysis in regards to who we can use and whatnot, who's got what flaws. How do you feel about it? Smash the like button if you've enjoyed this. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. I shall see you guys for tomorrow Brentford preview. Obviously, the Brentford watch along will be coming your way as well. Lots going on. So, yeah.